Hey guys, in this video we're going to take a look at submitting forms, and what we're going to do is we're going to create an array of users, submit a form, submit a user, and add to that array, and then output that in our template. So we already looked at ngModel and how we can bind input fields or input values to components, or I should say component properties, and we're going to use ngModel again, but we're also going to use the submit event. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a form here. And we're still using Bootstrap, so I'm just going to put a class of form group. And let's put a label. So this will be the name for the user. Okay, and then we want our input, which will have a type of text. And let's give it a Bootstrap class of form control. And let's give it an ngModel. Remember, ngModel has to have the brackets and the parentheses. And we're going to set that to name, set it to a name property. And then this also has to have an attribute of name, which we'll also set to name. Alright, and then under the form group, let's put a submit button. So this will be an input type submit. Let's give it a class of btn success. And let's give it a value of submit. Okay, we'll save that. Now we have a form, and since we created ngModel equals name, we have to create our name property down here, which will be a string, and we'll just initially set that to nothing. Alright, now in order to create a submit event, we're going to go into the form tag here, and we're going to say submit. And we're going to set it to a function called onSubmit. Of course, you could call it whatever you'd like, but we have to create that down here. And let's do console.log. And then what I'm going to do is log this.name. So we're grabbing this property, which is bound to this input. So if we save it, put something in here and submit, we're going to get whatever we put in the field. All right. So now what I'm going to do is set another property called users, and this is just going to be an array of strings. So we'll go like that, and we'll set it to an array, and let's say John Doe, we'll say Mary Swanson, and let's do Kevin Smith. And then what I'll do here is when we submit, I want to say this.users and then just push on this.name. Alright, and then to be able to see that, we'll go up here and we'll loop through the users and output them. So let's put an HR, and then what I'll do is put a UL with a class of list group, Bootstrap class. Okay, and then we'll have our LI with a class of list group item. Okay, and we're also going to do an ng4 here because we want to loop through the users. So we'll say let user of users, and then in here we just want to put our double curly braces and then user. So we'll save that. And now you can see we have our three users that we set initially, and if I go and I add something here, let's say Steve, we'll say Steve Johnson, submit, and he gets added to the end. Okay, and you may want to just clear this out after you submit, so we could say this.name, which pertains to the input, and we'll just set it to nothing. Now if we reload, it's going to go away because it's not persisting to a database or anything like that. That's something we'll get into later when we work with services. So let's go ahead and add, we'll say Jack Smith, submit, and you'll see he gets added. This clears up, and we can keep adding to this if we want. If we said Mike, I don't know, Mike Jackson. There we go. So we can keep adding names. Alright, so that's going to do it for this video. In the next video, we're going to take a look at template-driven forms as well as a little bit of form validation.